Well, I'm here at Paul Carrack headquarters with the man himself. Hello, mate.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. Nice to see you.
Thanks for
And
coming up.
absolute pleasure to be here again and to on the occasion of a brand new album.
Yeah,
You've been busy during
I
this
have
weird
indeed.
time.
I have indeed. I haven't let the time go to waste, so it's been great.
I mean, people have been making records in lots of different ways during lockdown, but you just decided to make this into a real. It is a proper sort of solo record in every sense, isn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't so much decide; it just kind of happened, because basically we should have been on the road all last year. So January, February, March, everything was going great. Started to get the vibe that things were going to be shutting down. Thought it would probably be only a couple of months. We rescheduled some stuff, but anyway, I basically just started coming in here, messing about, and it's evolved into an album.
Yeah. How many of the songs were in existence before all of this nonsense?
None.
Really? So it's completely made in.
I don't think. No, I think there was one actually, a track called "When Love Is Blind." I've made a start on that.
Right.
But no, I didn't expect to be coming in here at all. But thank goodness, I'm very, very fortunate to have this space to come in and keep myself occupied.
Well, you're sort of reaping the rewards again of all of the hard work you've put into this place. Over the years, you've really built it up into an amazing space.
Yeah, I mean, it was a garage. I did a lot of recording here, and it was freezing cold in the winter and boiling hot in the summer.
Yeah.
A few years back, 7, 8 years ago, we decided to, do a number on it and make it a nice space. And thank goodness I did. It was the best thing I've done.
Yeah. Well, we've got the perfect location to listen to this record through this amazing desk. The way you made it in the first place. Shall we have a go at it?
Yes, please.
Good and ready. What a great way to start a record.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really lovely, positive thing, especially after everything we've all been through. It's a lovely sort of opening message, isn't it?
I think surprisingly, the record is quite upbeat.
Yeah, it is.
There's two ballads on there actually. One which we released as a single already called "You're Not Alone," and that got quite a bit of airplay actually on the mainstream radio, which was nice.
Yeah.
But that's a bit sort of introspective, I suppose. But the rest of it's surprisingly upbeat. I think maybe because we were mid-tour.
Yeah.
And I think I was still kind of in that mode.
Right.
Thinking that we would be getting back on the road and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I didn't envisage, spending the best part of a year in here on my own. But anyway, yeah, I'm glad you think that's a...
It's great, yeah. And well, I should say I've heard the record once through prior to today, just so it's in my mind, but still extremely fresh. My first thought was, you're always soulful, but I think this is actually even more of a soul influence record than you've made in a long time.
I mean, the sound of the record is, warm, I think, and engaging and nourishing. It's not coming at you, even though, as I said, the songs are upbeat and stuff. But we've not tried to make it particularly commercial or radio friendly. We wanted to try to make an album that you could put on and listen to.
Yeah.
And embracing, if that's the word.
So because most of it's you, I mean, you've just spent all of this time kind of just layering it up. I mean, drums and everything.
It's hard to explain to somebody, not yourself, but people generally who don't know how records are put together. It's a funny process to do it all yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people kind of do it, and a lot of young modern guys who've really got the programming thing down. They can do it very quickly. For me, it's still an organic process. I mean, a song will start with a very, some little idea that you develop, and you start to put instruments on it, but you're constantly having to change. Let's say if you put down a keyboard and a vocal, and then you put some bass and a guitar, and then you'll think, well, obviously the piano's playing too much here, because so it's a bit of a long-winded process.
Yeah.
But we get there in the end.
That's right. There aren't many people, I can't think of any people, who make records really from start to finish the way that you've made this. I mean, including, the mixing and the whole thing. Unlike previous records of yours, there hasn't been a stage at which you've given it over to someone.
Yeah, that's often happened in the past when I've recorded stuff here. I mean, and in a way, I know that they sound conventional. The songs are all conventional, but the playing is a little bit unconventional in the way that I play a bit of everything, but like I don't play the bass like a normal bass player would.
Just the way the sort of process of judging it, I suppose. Sort of being your own judge as you create.
Yeah, well, I think the point I was trying to make is that these recordings, they hang together somehow, and it's because of the balance and the way things are working. And then what I've often done in the past is, because I'm terrified of the mixing process, because I'm not technically, I don't know the technicalities of that, but often I've given it to someone to mix, and then they start from scratch. They bring everything back down and start to build it back up again, and somehow it doesn't hang together in the same way.
Right.
But this is kind of mixing as you go along.
Yeah.
And the way you play, the way the instruments sound is what it is, So
No, it really does. And the other thing that struck me about it is, it's very live sounding. I mean, it sounds, you're the band on the record, but it sounds like a band playing live to me.
I'm thinking in terms of them being played by a band, eventually. So
yeah, great stuff. Do you have another one?
Go on in.
Still sounded pretty damn good to me, though.
Okay, good.
Long way to go.
Yes.
With some great contributions on this particular one.
Indeed. It's funny, we've called the album One on One.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to have done everything, and which was true up until the last stages of the album, because once things started getting a little more relaxed, we were able to bring in a couple of contributions.
Yeah.
Most notably on this one, a great guitar solo by Robbie McIntosh.
Yeah.
We sent Robbie the track, and he came back, half an hour later with 5 fantastic solos.
Yeah, old friend of yours.
Well, yeah.
Done stuff on your records before. Anyway,
he has done stuff on my records before. First thing I ever did with him actually was the Pretenders.
Yeah.
Of course, Robbie was in the Pretenders, and I'd played on a couple of sessions for them. And no, he's played on several of my albums. Blue Views, Groove Approved, the last album. Absolutely outstanding guitar player.
Yeah. I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, Pretenders, Paul McCartney's band for a long time.
Of course. Nora Jones.
Nora Jones, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and his own good records too.
Indeed.
Made some really nice albums as well.
Indeed. He's tremendous.
Yeah.
Tremendous guitar.
Yeah. Really lovely crunching horn sound on that record as well, on that track as well.
Yeah, funnily enough, because originally I'd done samples. You know, I'd done the parts, but we thought once it became possible to get the guys in, we decided to do that. I got in a new friend of mine, actually. He's only been living around the corner for 20 years. We've never met before. Dave Arch. He's a great arranger, but I basically gave him the MIDI part that I'd written, and he transcribed it and voiced it properly for the... So yeah, eventually when the things loosened up a little bit, we were able to get in the proper guys, because the samples sounded pretty good actually, but you can't beat real horns. No. So we have Steve Baton, of course, who's been in my band for 20 years, tours with me all the time. The legendary Pee Wee Ellis of James Brown, Van Morrison fame. Dennis Rollins on trombone, and Andy Greenwood on trumpet. So we recorded the horns in here. They sound great.
Yeah, and some nice backing vocals on there too as well.
Of course. Thank you for reminding me. Michelle Jean, who of course I met working in Eric Clapton's band, and she's absolutely unbelievable, and she sounds great.
Yeah. If you hadn't got to the stage where people could come, or where it became easier for people to make their contributions, what do you think you would have done? I mean, would you have just waited until that time where they could do it? Or?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it was sounding okay. As I say, the samples weren't too bad. I'd done backing vocals myself, but it was great to take it the extra, mile and getting the real guys and the real gal.
But for the most part, obviously, you're probably more than ever before, you're totally your own boss on this, aren't you?
Yeah, which is dangerous.
Is it scary?
Well, it's funny. I mean, like I say, I have made records like this before, and there's a number of ways of making a record. But doing it by myself, I think I was compelled to do things my way, because I can be easily led and easily swayed. In a collaborative situation, I'll often take people's opinion stronger than my own. So, in a way, I think it's been good to just take it the whole way, because I think it does kind of have an individual kind of stamp on it.
Yeah, yeah. It's more of a signature than ever before.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
It's great.
I mean, as I say, I've been very fortunate. Played with great people in the past, and they always doing their best to make things work for you. But sometimes it's not about having great players. It's just about having the right thing.
Yeah. Another track?
Yesterday my life was feeling so complete. A new edition, so innocent and sweet. But now it's changed. Overnight the world is a different place. I walk around in circles trying to ease my mind. Those crazy feelings I thought I left behind, coming back again. Oh, I feel it coming back again. I'm distracted by the mention of a name.
Well, that lyric will have a lot of relevance for people in the sort of pandemic age.
Yeah, definitely. It was one of the ones I think quite early on. I suppose lyrically a lot of it came at the beginnings of the pandemic anyway, because the songs, the basic shapes and the lyrics came early on. It was all the dressing that came later. But I wrote that because my I hope she don't mind me saying, but my daughter gave birth in January 2020, and it was pretty difficult birth by looking at it, pretty scary actually. But she produced a fantastic granddaughter, and but unfortunately we weren't able to be there and give the support and to see her. So that was one of the tough parts of.
Right.
I mean, in many respects, it's not been too bad for us. We live we've got space. I've got my place to work, but missing the kids and worrying about them.
Yeah.
Was one of the worst parts about it.
So did you just suddenly think, I could actually make a song out of this?
or hardly ever have a plan about writing a song, mate. I mean, I don't think I'm going to write a song about this, that, or the other. I come in here, I sit at the keyboard, or the guitar, get something going, sing some stuff off the top of my head, and I think, without trying to sound too pretentious, it kind of comes from the subconscious in a lot of cases, and things come out, and then you think, oh, yes, maybe I could develop that idea.
Yeah.
And once you get that little concept or idea, then you can flesh it out.
Is it often the title? Do you find that's the idea comes
which
first?
can be tricky because you get stuck with it.
Then you've got to work it out into a song, haven't you?
Well, once you've got a title or an idea, I can work it out. It's a bit like doing a crossword puzzle or something. But often those things that sing great off the top of your head, they don't always make a lot of sense.
No.
But they sound right.
Yeah.
And they fit with the music. So
that thing about the title, doing what I do, I find that sometimes you think of a headline or could be a title for a program or something, and then you think, I wonder what that is.
Yes.
You've got to work it out backwards,
Indeed.
that way around.
Indeed. But like I say, it's very rarely. I mean, I envy those guys who wake up in the morning and think, I'm going to write a song about this, and it's an idea already. And it's got a twist, and that's the way they go. But for me, it usually comes from a starting place is music, and the melody and the sound. And as I say, those words just fit the mood.
Yeah. Tell me about that melodica solo on there.
Yeah, it sounds a bit like a harmonica, doesn't it? But it's actually a thing called a melodica or a melodian. It's like a little
handheld
thing. It's like a keyboard. I mean, obviously, I'm trying to somewhat emulate a bit of a Stevie Wonder type harmonica. But have you ever tried playing one of those chromatic? It's impossible.
Yeah,
I don't. He's a genius, of course, and but I bought a chromatic harmonica and I persevered, but it's hopeless. Yeah, the melodica is a lot easier.
Right. Well, it sounds great. It's nicely chosen. It's sort of nice surprise at that, that stage in the song.
Thanks.
And some great keyboard sounds on that track as well, as throughout the record.
Yeah. I mean, it's wonderful what you can do these days, but they're sort of classic sounding, like a Horner Pianet or a Wurlitzer or the Hammond organ.
Yeah.
I was never a synth guy, really. I didn't know anything about synthesizers.
No. I mean, some of these are tools of the trade that you've always worked with, aren't
Indeed.
they? Yeah. Okay, another one?
When you need a shoulder you can cry on, I'll be there to wipe your tears away. When it takes someone you can rely on, you can call me any time of day. When no one else will listen, I'll hang on every word till you realize there's someone who really cares.
So that's You're Not Alone, the first track we heard from the record. This preview.
Well, we released it as a single. We were quite pleasantly surprised it made it onto mainstream radio and did quite well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, one of those subconscious songs because I know I was just in here, as I say, sitting at the keyboard in a certain mood, had the melody, thought it was going to be another sloppy love song, you know, had a few titles that
Yeah.
led me down a wrong path. And then it's funny because in the beginning of lockdown, a lot of anxiety knocking about. Everybody was wondering what on earth is this all about. We had the thing with my daughter and giving, you know, a couple of people we knew having difficult time, you know, already anxious, anxiety issues, but then COVID on top of that.
Yes.
And I think I was listening to a conversation on the radio or something, and somebody said, "Well, if you think the world's going mad, you're not alone." And I thought, yeah, and kind of wrote it like that, and the idea being, the sentiment is, you know, one of support, really, for somebody who's struggling a bit.
I suppose if we were trying to find some positives out of this ridiculous time, this horrible time, that might be one, that it has, you know, there's been a little bit more sort of collective togetherness, isn't there, with people through this?
You must be an optimist.
I try.
You know me.
Yeah.
I worry about the division and in
I do
the
too.
world.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's
know.
that. It's two sides of the same coin, isn't it? Really, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of on a personal level. I'm not saying to the world I'd like to buy the world a Coke or anything like that. It's you know, I was two people particularly in mind to say, listen, I'm there for you.
Yeah. Keep going. Yeah. It's not the New Seekers.
No.
But it does have a kind of a, you know, dare I say, what sort of anthemic kind of quality, that song. I can imagine people joining in with that one. You know.
I'd love to have a football crowd song, but I don't think that's it, to be honest with you.
Lighten up your mood, baby. Let's take one step at a time. Lighten up your mood, baby. Everything's gonna work out fine. Why let your emotion seem to get the better of you? 'Cause we got a match made in heaven. Tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use imagination. Try to think of something new. Lighten up your mood, baby. Let me see the real you.
That's a lovely, upbeat, positive number.
Yeah.
Great.
I love it. A great horn arrangement by Pee Wee Ellis. I mean, he's the real deal. It's authenticity.
Yeah.
You know, it's fantastic.
I mean, we should just say, you mentioned that he played with James Brown, which, you know, a lot of us fans of that are very well aware of. But, you know, he was there for a long time with JB, wasn't he, and doing some important stuff in the
I believe so,
heyday,
yeah.
you know.
Cold Sweat and all that. But he lives in England now.
Yeah.
And
And he's played on your stuff before.
he has indeed. He played on the last album. That was Pete Van Hook introduced me to him, because Peter is my best mate, probably.
Not that he's anywhere nearby or anything, listening in.
No, Pete was the original drummer in Mike and the Mechanics. That's when we first met.
Yeah.
I took an instant dislike to him, actually. You were talking about MIDI. I was like, what are they talking about? And
You know the old Spike Milligan line, I took an instant dislike to him to save time.
very good. But anyway, over the years, he's probably my best pal. He's my biggest supporter through thick and thin. And that's enough about him.
Yes.
He had played with Pee Wee, because Pete played drums in Van Morrison's band for a good while, and of course Pee Wee played with him. So when it came to, on the last album, when it came to doing some horn arrangements, he suggested Pee Wee, because he's, as I say, he's the proper thing, the real thing.
And the song is sort of like, don't let this situation get you down. You actually mentioned lockdown in the lyric.
I do indeed, yes. Yeah, lighten up your mood. It's trying to be optimistic and...
I mean, you say that these songs are you know, the messages are more personal than collective, but that's a collective message. That's one for
definitely,
everyone, isn't it?
Well, I had to follow up that moody old ballad with something,
Right.
a bit of contrast.
Yes. Is the sequencing tricky, you know, on this one or any album, you know, just getting that flow right?
It can make a difference, I think. I mean, people argue they will say, well, people don't listen to albums now, they make their own playlists and what have you. But I think it can make a difference, and I tried to make a bit of a story, you know, to it, which I think it does have, and it is probably chronologically the way the songs happen.
Oh, is it?
In many cases, yeah.
That's quite unusual, isn't it? I mean, you know, usually, often you find people say that the last track they recorded is the one that goes on the top or something.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you get a favourite,
right?
And then that's the first one you get fed up with.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Long days in summer, walking by the sea, warm rays of sunshine shining down on me, dancing in the moonlight, footprints in the sand, lights in the harbor, listening to the band. So many good times together. These are the memories I'll treasure all my days. Precious time keeps moving on.
Positive feel to that one. Nice harmonies on it too,
Thank you. Yeah.
as throughout.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the idea behind that is, you know, some pleasant thoughts and memories to keep you, to sustain you.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the messages make the most of this time, isn't it?
Well, yeah, definitely is. I mean, especially for people my generation, if you like.
You've touched on that before. I mean, the last album had some of those sort of sentiments on it too, didn't it?
Yeah, well, I know you do have to remind yourself sometimes. I mean, we all have very busy lives, and it's a great time as well. You know, I mean, a lot of things have come to fruition. You know, all the work you've put into learning how to your trade, sort of thing, and finding an audience and getting better at what you do.
Yeah.
And you want to enjoy that. You know, because time's ticking.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I mean, in a sort of a physical sense here, but also in the, you know, your whole world it is something you can be proud of, because it is something you've done completely off your own bat, haven't you?
Are you talking about this album particularly?
The album, the label, the touring, you know, the audience you've created through all of those things.
Yeah, I mean, there's been no plan to it whatsoever, but I'm just grateful. I mean, you know, definitely to have had a life in music. I mean, it hasn't by any means been easy ride, but it's been my choice, and it's the only thing I was any good at, actually. I stopped being any good at football at about 14.
Yeah, you and me both.
So, no, it's remarkable, actually, because I've come from pretty humble beginnings, and I had no right to expect to have had a career, you know. It wasn't about that. It was about avoiding getting a proper job back in the day.
That's right.
And a lot of the time you haven't enjoyed and appreciated it because it's been a struggle.
Yeah.
You know, and what's next, and pretty precarious thing. Especially back in the day. I mean, it's a bit more respectable now, and you know, people talk about careers and stuff, but no, it's great.
I mean, when you were with Ace, for example, you know, I'm sure you weren't thinking about that as a lifetime thing, were you? Or, you know, being in this business as long as you have.
Well, only as much as I didn't know what else I could possibly do.
Yeah.
Having no academic qualifications whatsoever, or being at all useful. But I did, fortunately, have a gift. As everybody's got their gifts. And a lot of people are gifted in music and don't pursue it or whatever, but you know, I had to pursue it all the way, and I had to make a living and feed my family and all the rest of it. So I've worked on the gift.
Yeah.
You know.
But you've got the work ethic. I mean, it's in you, isn't
Definitely,
it? You know,
very.
it's in you from your family and everything else, you know.
Bit of a curse.
Yeah.
I always think actually.
Yeah.
Because my family were very, very hard working, and they were from. I mean, we thought we had humble beginnings. They were forever telling us how easy we had it compared to them. So no, they worked real hard, and you know, Sheffield people are pretty down to earth. They don't like people getting, you know,
above their station.
But I think that stood me in good stead, you know, and I've been happy to take the rough with the smooth, and expect to work hard.
Yeah.
And enjoy it. Never felt entitled to anything.
But also, you know, sometimes you're the front man. You're just as happy being in a band situation too,
Absolutely.
aren't you? You know?
Yeah. To both. I mean, I do love singing, but it's a lot. It's a lot of pressure actually. When touring and stuff like that, to be on form all the time, and the voice is a physical thing. So I mean, to get to go and play Hammond organ in the Eric Clapton band is like it's a dream holiday.
Yes.
In a way, because people have come to see Eric, they haven't come to see me, but it's fantastic. And I mean, just to get to play with a legend like that, and all these associates and all the great musicians he's had playing with him, it's been really great for me actually.
Yeah, and it's the approval of your peers too, isn't it?
Exactly.
And idols, I suppose, in some cases too.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I was a little bit concerned about all that, how I would, would I sink or swim?
Yeah.
But no, it's been great to be accepted into that sort of fraternity.
Yeah. Another track.
The whole world over, she ain't ever coming back to you. When love is blind, it's so easy to believe.
Great soulful feel to that one as well.
Yeah, thanks. Jack Carrack on the drums there.
Ah, yes, I seem to know that name.
That's one we started before lockdown.
Right.
So that was it. Yeah. But it's great to have Jack in the band.
Yes.
He's come on fantastically well. I think he must have been with the band about 10 years now.
There's a 70s soul feel about that one, and some of the others too. I mean, a lot of your influences come from that time, don't they?
Definitely, yeah. All kinds of influences over the years. But yeah, that wasn't a bad time for 70s soul. But I've never been sort of trying to make a pastiche or, go for a sound or anything like that. It's just the way things go. You just follow your own instincts, really.
Yeah. I should have said long before now, I think your vocals on this record are just as strong as I've ever heard.
Oh, thanks, mate.
Terrific.
Good, that's good news.
Yeah. I mean, do you think it's benefited from having this extra time, this sort of enforced incarceration?
Probably, yeah. It's probably one of the few positives is that I've had time to really get in there and into the detail of stuff, because a lot of the time, especially over the last 10 years, has been on the road with my own band and, as I say, playing with Eric Clapton's band. And in many cases, I think I've let things go before they were quite finished. But with this, it's great to have had the time to spend on it.
But it's a question of self-discipline too, isn't it? Coming in here every day, and making yourself, really apply yourself to the task in hand.
Yeah,
But you're good with that, aren't
you? Well, it's as much as anything else. It started off as a therapy.
Yeah.
And because, as I say, when the lockdown first started in mid-March, really, we were in the middle of a world tour, you could say. And when it initially happened, I thought we started to reschedule dates and what have you. But, I mean, there was a lot of anxiety about myself. I was worried about, you know, the kids and all this and that. And the other. So just coming in here and sitting down and getting into some work and trying to keep things going, because, you know, it's like anything else, almost like being an athlete.
Yeah.
He says. But, you know, with the voice and your chops, you have to keep it going, because you can easily lose it.
I always hear Roger Daltrey talking about that a lot. You know, about that was one of his concerns about being, you know, off the road for so long. At his stage of the game, you know, he just needed to find ways of keeping the voice supple and.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I should imagine particularly difficult for an artist like that, where, you know, you're belting out the rock stuff, you know. But no, it's important. You've got to keep it going, and as you said, to have the time to really get into the detail. And I mean, you can go on forever.
Sure.
So there has to come a point, but
yeah. But a lot of people don't have that discipline, I don't think. You know,
probably not. They're probably sensible. They've got better things to do. But I did actually have a bit of an illness at one point as well in April. So I lost some time. I had 5 or 6 weeks. I had shingles, which is I don't recommend. It's rubbish. Yeah.
So you had to do a bit of rescheduling at the back end of this, didn't you?
Yeah, we wanted to. Obviously, when I've done an album, I want to get it out as soon as possible. Originally, it was scheduled for June, and we had quite a lot of people pre-ordered on that pretext. But unfortunately, as I say, we lost that time, and it meant that we had to put things back. So the album's coming out September the 17th, and but that may have some positive benefits. I think it ties in well with the tour that we'll be doing in the new year, and all that.
And builds up the expectation too, or the sense of, you know.
Yeah, I mean the way things are now, we're certainly not guaranteed sort of mainstream radio as much as we used to enjoy that success, but we are releasing stuff digitally, 4 or 5 singles to kind of prep the album. Yeah.
And you know, because of your audience that you built up, you know, so much hard work over such a long period of time. I mean, you know, you know they'll be out there for you when you go back out.
Well, you say that. You hope they'll be there. You certainly can't take them for granted.
No, sure.
There's a lot of artists out there chomping at the bit. There's a lot of music I'm sure been recorded, and all the rest of it. But I really think that people who like what I do will enjoy this album for sure.
Absolutely, and a lot of these songs are made for the stage, I think.
Definitely. As I said, I think that was part of the thing of writing with that in mind, that I know a lot of this will work really well live here.
That's another Carrack toe tapper, that one.
Set me free, yeah. Not trying to be political or anything like that, but nevertheless, we need to get out there. We want to get out there.
Right, so it's another specific message really, isn't it? Or something that came through this time?
I suppose so. Trying not to be too specific, but it's just that feeling of, you know, we need to, you know, musicians, it's about communication at the end of the day, and camaraderie and all that stuff that is, I mean, as I say, I'm lucky. I live in a nice place. I've got a great family, but you know, we definitely miss that being out on the road. And
I mean, a lot of people have said that they've, you know, that this time has reminded them of that. I'm sure you didn't need to be reminded of it because you were very aware of it anyway. But being in this, you know, literally locked down, you know, I suppose it is. It's reminded us of some things that were important to us, hasn't it?
definitely. I mean, but to some extent, I mean, it's been okay. As I say, it's been okay for me. I've enjoyed being at home. I've spent a lot of time over the last 10 years on the road. It's been nice to you know, enjoy being here and spending time with my wife. She's cooking great. I love to eat. What's not to like?
What's not to like?
I've been able to hone in on making an album, so it's not been too difficult. I mean, not as difficult as it has been for millions and millions of people, you know. So I got to be careful that I don't sound too happy. If it all ended tomorrow, if my career finished tomorrow, I'd say, great, thank you very much, and you know, I'd be eternally grateful. But I still feel I've got a stomach to do.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying the world's waiting for my offerings, but for my own personal satisfaction. You know, and I want to enjoy it as much as possible.
Well, I think this is, you know, taking it to another level. It's a cliche, really, but you know, partly because you had to do it this way. But I think it's, you know, it's revealed more things for yourself as well, probably, you know, about what you can do, and having the courage of your convictions to do it right the way through to the end, kind of thing. It's a different type of record, isn't it, in that sense?
I think so. I think so. Where the proof will be in the pudding. No, that's wrong. The proof will be in the whatever it is.
Yeah. In the listening, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, we've got one more track to go. Let's do it, Paul, and then we'll let you off the hook.
Okay.
My baby makes me proud. Lord, don't she make me proud. She never makes a scene, hanging all over me in a crowd. But people like to talk. Whoa, don't they love to talk? When they turn out the light, I know she'll be leaving with me.
I tell you, Paul, when I was looking down the list of track titles for this record, knowing that you always like to have a cover in there somewhere, I thought, and went down and thought, Behind Closed Doors, I really hope that is the old Charlie Rich song, and sure enough, there it is.
Fantastic. Original, great vocal, Charlie Rich. But one thing I want to do at some point is to make a country album.
Yeah.
Definitely. But I don't think I'll be making it here and spending a year doing it. I haven't got the time to do that. I'll have to go and over to Nashville and record it in an afternoon, I think.
That'd be great. I mean, of course, the musicians, you know, the standard of musicians over there is so incredible. You know,
exactly.
It's still how they work, isn't it?
I'd love it, actually. It's definitely on my list of things to do.
So how come that one? Where did that idea come from?
I don't know. As I say, it just came in here, I think, early on, before I'd written any songs, and thought, it's one we often do at Soundcheck. Actually, funnily enough, just for fun.
Yeah.
And as I say, Charlie Rich, I don't know too much about him. I knew he started at Sun Records. He used to make demos for Elvis. Yeah. He's got that beautiful, beautiful voice. And there's a million great songs out there.
Great showcase for the piano, though, as well, because he was, he's a great piano player, and you've... You know, recreated
I've
that.
It, yeah, completely.
Yeah,
I hope so. Anyway,
but he's an amazing character because he had those, as you say, had those two distinct periods in his career: Sun Records early on, and then this stuff from the '70s. There's a gap in between, but huge success in America with this, and Most Beautiful Girl in the World, and
yeah, that was a great change for him because I guess in the originally in Sun days he was more of a rock and roller.
Yeah. I had a look at just to remind myself of who else has done versions of that song. Dinah Ross did it.
No,
who sang one of your songs once, of course.
Well, you say one of my songs. It's a Nick Lowe song, really, that he gave me a credit for contributing to, and it's a great song. Battlefield.
Battlefield, yeah.
Fantastic lyric.
Yeah.
Whoever would have thought Diana Ross would have recorded that, but she did.
No.
Yeah.
So she did Behind Closed Doors. Loretta Lynn did it.
Well, Loretta Lynn, I can see that.
Yep.
I've got to hear Diana Ross.
Little Milton did a version of it.
Is that right?
Yeah. And one of our mutual heroes, Bobby Womack, did it too.
Is that right? Blimey, I'm going to look that up. I'm surprised I didn't know that.
It's, I mean, it really dozens and dozens of versions, you know. But it's at the same time, it sounds really fresh because I haven't heard that song by anybody for ages, you know.
It's probably politically incorrect these days. I don't know. Back in the day, in the 70s, I think it was banned from a lot of radio stations for being too saucy.
Racy stuff in 1973.
Not racist.
Racy, yes,
Exactly.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a lovely way to finish off the record too. You know, it has a real warmth, that song, doesn't it?
Good.
You know.
I'm glad you think so.
Yeah. It's a wonderful record, really. I hope you're
Thanks, man.
happy with
Appreciate
it.
it. I appreciate your time.
Pleasure,
up,
as
listening to
always, you know. But you must be planning which of these songs could make the set list now, aren't you?
Yeah, any of them probably could. So we'll. I mean, the band have only just heard it. Anything, you know. So we'll get together, knock them all through, and see which is going to fly.
Yeah. And then a few others have to get nudged out to make room for them, don't they?
Well, there's certain songs we always have in the set, of course. You know, things like How Long, Over My Shoulder, Living Years, Tempted, Love Will Keep Us Alive. No issues, no problem. I love singing them songs. I love their response. But we've got a massive repertoire because these guys have been with me for over 20 years now. Made a number of albums. Everybody's got their personal favourites, but we keep chopping and changing.
Yeah.
But, those 6 or 7 songs have got to be in there.
Yeah. Well, quite a few of these need to be in there too.
Yeah.
Cheers, Paul. Great to see you.
Thanks, mate.
Will the lightning strike day in the morning? Not a single cloud.